Good morning, class. Today we're going to talk about sensory impairments. The first impairment that we're discussing is deafness. Does anyone remember what deafness is?
It's the inability to hear.
Okay. Do you remember the difference between little d and big D?
Deafness with an uppercase D is someone who identifies with the culture, and deafness with a lowercase d is someone who's just medically diagnosed and does not identify as culturally deaf.
The main component of deaf culture is to know American Sign Language.
Also, being deaf is not a requirement of being part of the culture. Many children of deaf adults are part of the community, even if they themselves may be hearing.
Great job. It's important to remember that ASL, among other sign systems, is an everyday language used by 500,000 Americans.
If they're using a different language, does that make school more difficult for them?
Good question. Some aspects of school are more difficult, such as classrooms where teachers require students to take lecture notes without taking into account deaf individuals in the classroom. What are some ways they can be accommodated?
The teacher can give students digital notes beforehand or have a PowerPoint that the student can follow along with.
Or a teacher can wear a microphone and pass it to other students when they speak in class.
Very good. Can you think of any other problems faced in the classroom?
Some hearing students don't know how to communicate with deaf students in the classroom.
What'd you guys do this weekend?
I went out and saw a movie.
What about you, Sam? How do you think we can fix that?
They can read our lips while we speak.
That's a very good idea, but it is actually a misconception. Speech reading is extremely difficult, and there's no substitute for hearing. Does anyone else have any other ideas?
An interpreter in the classroom could help the students talk to each other, but if they want direct communication without a third party, they could always just pass notes.
That's right. Now let's talk about visual impairments. Blindness is a lack of vision. It may also refer to a loss of vision that cannot be corrected with glasses or contact lenses. Blindness can make it very difficult to perform certain classroom tasks.
Like what?
Well, think about how much you learn through sight. Some subjects, such as math, are typically taught using mostly visual tactics. It makes it nearly impossible with students with visual impairments to follow along.
Okay, so Sage, if 2x equals 6, what is x?
Well, how else would you teach math so that students with visual impairment can learn too?
Great question. With new technology like touch tablets, this is possible and easy. Students with visual impairments can download applications onto touch tablets that allow them to feel vibrations. These vibrations can make it so the students can feel the numbers and symbols that they can't see.
Sage, why don't you try this? It's a tablet, you can feel the numbers.
Oh, this is much better.
Along with touch tablets, there are also other technologies that are very beneficial to students with visual impairments. Some of these technologies include speech and voice synthesizers, which turn written speech on websites into verbal speech that can be heard. However, even with voice and speech synthesizers, there are still problems that students with visual impairments must face.
Like what?
Well, one is reading.
Here, this Braille book should be perfect for you.
I don't read Braille.
I thought all people with visual impairment knew Braille. How else do they?
Maybe 100 years ago. This is an assumption that most seeing people have. Actually, only about 8% of people who are blind can read Braille. Most use large prints or audiobooks.
Sorry about that. Here, why don't you try this audiobook?
Oh, thank you. This I can work with.